three wonderful people in who are going to be speaking to us and telling us a lot about what Bocconi University and studying in Italy is all about. There are people coming in from the length and breadth of this country. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined in and spent their wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are joining us from. I'm going to start off with the introductions now. We are almost close to 300 people in this room. So thank you once again. We've got Veronica Sulo, who represents Bocconi University as part of the guidance and recruitment team. Veronica, thank you so much to join us. She's going to be talking to us about studying in Italy and studying specifically at Bocconi University, some of the tips and tricks that you can pursue a program here. We've got Yatin Raj Singh, who's also joined us. Yatin is a current student at the Master's MSc in Management program at Bocconi. He's a final year student there. So he's going to be sharing some of his experiences with some pictures. Through a new presentation format that we thought we would bring to each of you. And finally, we've got Shreya Arora. Shreya Arora is from Delhi in India, and she participated in a Bocconi summer school competition, and she came first. So she got 100% scholarship to join the Bocconi summer school. 100% scholarship for the best 2 to 3 weeks of her life. I don't want to talk about what she, how much she enjoyed the summer school. I'm going to let her do that through pictures and through presentations. So very quickly, I'm going to take you all through very quickly the agenda. We're going to have 30 minutes where Veronica will talk to us about studying in Italy. We'll have Yatin and Shreya talk to us for about 10 minutes each about their individual experiences. And then this session is going to open for Q&A. So if you've got questions, there's a Q&A tab. Feel free to ask any relevant questions about the program and about Bocconi and about studying in Italy overall. Before we start off, Veronica, there's a poll question that I would want to launch. So each and every one of you, there's a poll question that is now on your screens. If you can't see it on your screen already, click on the polls button that is there next to the Q&A and next to the chat box. You can see what are the compelling reasons to select Italy as your preferred study destination. Is it that the international students can receive quality education from one of the world's oldest universities? Is it just about the quality of education? Or is it because a study abroad program in Italy is an opportunity to experience rich and varied culture? So is it about culture of Italy that makes it a wonderful destination? Or is it something to do with global perspectives and, so that you can meet people from different parts of the world? Is it the fact that Italy is a melting pot of cultures, a lot of people from different parts of the world come in, or is it all of the above? Is it also the quality of education? It is also the rich and varied culture, and it is also the melting pot of cultures and for you to meet many people. The poll is still live. I've only spent about a minute. There is only, if you've not answered the poll question, please click on the poll and answer one out of the 4 options that are there. Why would someone prefer to study in Italy? Is it because the quality of education? Is it because of the culture? Or is it because it is a melting pot and there is so much diversity of people that you will meet in Italy? Or is it all of the above? All right. We've got quite a few people who've responded to the poll question. I'm going to end it in just about 10 seconds. So if you haven't still answered, you have got 10 seconds more to answer. And that should be it now. Thank you so much for everyone who's answered the poll questions, Veronica. And for the rest of you, I'm going to be just sharing the responses to the poll questions. You can see that 65% of you think that all the 3 reasons that were mentioned above makes Italy a preferred study destination. About 20% of you focus more on the culture and the fact that there are a lot of people involved, and about 16% of you only focus on the higher education and the quality of education that's there. Fair enough. Each of you have your own thoughts. Veronica is going to be here, who's going to be taking us through each and every section that's here and also specific to Bocconi. So thanks so much for answering the poll questions. I'm going to let Veronica now share her screen and take us through a little bit about studying in Italy, little bit about Bocconi University. Over to you, Veronica.
Grazie mille, thank you. Buongiorno, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, everybody. I've been working at Bocconi University in the north of Italy, Milano, for 20 years, recruiting students from all over the world. So I hope I will be able to provide information also about all the students and all the different cultures that I met in my job and that I brought to our campus in Milano, in the north of Italy. But first of all, let's start with some information about the country I am from and where I am right now. Oops. Basically, Italy has been one of the founding members of the European Union back in the 50s, and it's one of the G8 most economic powerful countries in the world. It's not a big country as India, but it's very condensed, I would say, with a lot of not only beautiful cities and amazing culture from Rome to Venice, but also is the country of innovation and technology. Think and the made in Italy. Think about Italian brands like Ferrari, Gucci, Fiat, the Vespa, I can see there. They were all, or Barilla, Nutella. They were all family companies 100 and more years ago, and they became world-renowned multinationals. This just gives you an indication of our culture that comes from very strict ties with our family. We care about our families a lot, but also is able to promote itself and grow and become worldwide famous. Of course, coming to Italy, first of all, would allow you not only to experience this culture, but also to experience the rest of Europe, of continental Europe. With the student visa to Italy, you are free to travel all over continental Europe, and it's really one bird's throws fly from Milano to Paris is 1 hour, from Milano to Berlin is 1 hour, and you can really make the most of the experience, also feeling the European culture that we care so much about. Let's talk a bit about the Italian and European higher education system. All over Europe, continental Europe again, we have a 3+2 university system. 3 years of a bachelor degree and 2 years of Master of Science degree. Then you can add 3 years of a PhD or specialized masters. First question that I wanted to answer is about the Master of Science. You can see here MS, in Italian Laurea Magistrale, compared to specialized master that are 1-year programs. Let's say that the MS, the Master of Science, is the most academic program that would allow you also to pursue a PhD, not only in Italy or Europe, but also in the US. For example, we'll talk about it later, but one of our master programs have a 30+% rate of graduates going for a PhD at Yale, Harvard, and so on in the United States. This also brings me to talk a little bit about the Italian universities in general. In the poll, you saw that one question was related also to the most ancient universities in the Western world. And for sure, Bologna, which is in the north of Italy, is the oldest university in the Western world, together with Padova near Venice and Naples in the south. In Rome, there are 4 different universities, and being also the biggest city that we have in Italy, it hosted the biggest university in the European Union, 150,000 students and 4,500 professors. Very honestly, my suggestion, as a first time in Italy, I wouldn't go in such a big university, and I will explain it in a minute, just because maybe at the beginning you need a bit more support as an international student. There are also universities for foreigners that are basically in 2 beautiful cities in the center of Italy, in Tuscany, in Siena and Perugia. They are universities focused on studying Italian language and culture. So these are universities that you would like to attend in case you want to learn Italian language and maybe in the future teach Italian language, or also as they have program for 6 months, for example, to get accustomed to the Italian lifestyle before starting your full university degree or master. We have more than 100 art academies. As you can imagine, is part of Italian culture, the music, the art, also the fashion are very much into our daily lives, and we have specific higher education institutions dedicated to this. I know, for example, from some countries, we receive a lot of students who want to study opera, for example, and this is also a great way to start learning Italian. We have an increase of universities in Italy offering programs entirely in English. So even if you don't know Italian, you can attend full degrees in English language in one of the Italian cities. Many universities are ranked in the international rankings. For example, you will see many rankings, Bologna and Roma, the one I mentioned earlier, because they are also the biggest, that also comprise many different programs from medicine to architecture. So of course, they can be ranked on many different subjects. The majority of the universities that I've been mentioning so far are public institutions, and they are often in historical city centers. If you think that Bologna, the oldest university, which dates back 1,000 years ago, and many other historical universities in Italy were basically monasteries, where monks back in the Middle Age were writing books and copying books. So you can see wonderful architecture there, and you can understand how much higher education was into our culture since 1,000 years ago. It's really the cradle of Western civilization, I would say. I wanted to make a point between public and private universities. Bocconi University, this one, not an historical building, very young, 120 years old compared to 1,000. And it's a private and very specific university that I will mention in a few minutes. In general, universities in Italy are public, historical buildings, almost free of charge. You can see here in the slides what are the fees, considering that in Italy we have a law called the right to study, il diritto allo studio. This means that Italian, European, and non-European students can apply for national financial aid based on family income. This is something that we offer to everybody, because in our government, in our law, everybody has the right to pursue higher education. Private universities also offer this kind of national financial aid scholarship, but of course, being private, they can rely on donors, companies, alumni who can provide more merit scholarships, and of course the fees vary because of the same reasons. The main difference, in my opinion, is related to services. I don't want to discourage you to go in a public university, but in a private university like Bocconi, where we have been used to host and welcome international students since more than 20 years ago, we have a very specific program in place for all international freshmen to be assisted from visa. So when you are not still here, to the first day of university, with bureaucracy, with the financing, with mobile phones, or setting up a bank account, or taking care of a specific interest that overseas students might need. So this is the first consideration. Of course, you can easily get admitted in a public university that doesn't even have a selection process, okay? They usually through the Italian consulate or through the Italian embassy, you can pre-enroll in a public university very quickly and very easily, while for private universities like Bocconi and a few others that are based in Milano and in Rome, you will need to go through a more thorough selection process. The reward is more help and more support once you get admitted. Let me talk a bit more about Milano. Then I know that we have two other speakers, two students who have been living and who are living in Milano, and so I'm sure they will let you know much more about their daily life. This is the main square of the city with the cathedral that dates back the Middle Ages. You see that Milano will host in 2 years the Winter Olympics, because we are very near the Alps, the mountains, but also near the seaside, and I will probably share with you where I am before ending this speech. In general, the Lombardy region is one of the richest in Europe. It's the second ranked for GDP in the whole European Union. Again, not only Milano hosts the Italian Stock Exchange. Milano is not the Italian capital, but it's what we say the financial capital of Italy. It hosts the Italian Stock Exchange, 130 branches of different banks, and the majority of multinational companies, because it's in the north more connected to the rest of Europe with its 3 airports that allows more relationship with the rest of Europe and the world. Of course, Milano is also the capital of fashion. There are fashion weeks going on every 2-3 months, design weeks, and many social activities in a city that you will hear from the students is very small compared to Rome, but this allows us and everybody living here to connect with a lot of people, to attend a lot of social events, and basically from one side of the city to another, it takes 30 minutes. There are a lot of, compared to Rome, if any of you have ever been to Rome, there are a lot more of public transports because we don't have, you know, the archaeological sites, the Roman rests that are in Rome, and that forbids of excavating under the ground. While in Milano, we are able to build a lot of metro lines. We have a new one that brings you from the city airport of Linate to the main square in 15 minutes. This is a great achievement for us, and I'm really proud of it. This thanks to the Expo in 2019 2015, the one that was there in Dubai in 2020. Thanks to the Olympics, the infrastructures are really going to be embettered, and all the transport system is going to be much better throughout the years. Milano, these are a few numbers. Milano hosts not only Bocconi University, but other 7 universities. One specialized one is a polytechnic that you might have heard. And then we have general universities. University specializes in art and fashion. University like Polytechnic specializes in engineering. And Bocconi University that is specialized in economics, management, and finance. Here you can see the newest area that again was built thanks to the money brought to us by the Expo, the World Expo that Milano hosted in 2015, our skyscrapers. Here is just the map of the city, but you see Linate Airport, the other airports. Milano, it takes 3 hours to go to Rome now with a fast train. And as you can see in the photo on the left, in 2 hours by train, you are in Liguria, which is where I am right now. So let's talk about the universities. As said, Bocconi University is a very young university for Italy, dates back 1902, so it's 120 years old. It comprises several buildings in the same neighborhood, let's say, together with also dorms, student residencies, and sports centers. Bocconi has now 15,000 students. Sorry, these were a few numbers again. 15,000 students, and we started recruiting internationally in 2001 when I actually got hired by the university. And I'm very proud because 20 plus years ago, we had a few dozens of students from abroad, and now it's more than 3,000. So in classes taught in English, we have a few classes still taught in Italian, but nowadays the majority of our programs are entirely taught in English, and we reach 40% of international students in each class. For bachelor, we reach the 50%, 55%, so there are more international than Italian students. If you allow me also a side note, Italy is one of the countries that is not growing in terms of population. So there are a bit more, let's say, places and opportunities for international students because there are a few less Italian students being born in the last years. As said, Bocconi is a very specialized university. It specializes in economics, management, finance, political science, and data science in the last years. It's a business school, okay? So what I always tell the student is that our aim is to find all of our students a good job in a good company and allow them to spring and being managers, entrepreneurs, or finance guys, or politicians as well, economists, and more, you know, being a business school, we are very much connected with the job world, with the business world. That's why in the past year, we also started programs in data science, business analytics, artificial intelligence, sustainability. These are all subjects and topics that the companies, the job world is asking to our students. So we want to make sure that our students have all the skills and knowledges that not only the job world of today, but especially the job world of tomorrow will require. Here again are the numbers that I was telling you before. besides the 3,000 full-time students on campus, we also have other 3,000 that are exchange students who come from one of our 280 partner universities. Again, as I mentioned in the previous slides, we started partnering with different universities more than 40 years ago. I was not born yet, in 1974. The first one was ESSEC, quite a prestigious business school in France. And we now have partnerships all over the world, in the US, in UK, in France, Germany, but also in Asia, in Singapore, in China, in Japan, all over. The idea is to allow our students to also have one more international experience besides coming to Italy. Of course, many students tell me that they are already studying abroad because they came to a different country for their degree. But the plus, and that was, I mirror what Sharang was mentioning previously, is that in class you will find students from all the partner universities that we have, so that we also host students from all these universities all over the world that you will find in your classroom. The reason why we care so much also about the student outcomes, the job that they can find, the skills that they need to find good jobs, is also related to rankings, of course. Bocconi is very much recognized in international rankings. As you can see, is considered 4th best business school in Europe. Its masters in finance and management are ranked among the 20 best in the world. And even for topics, we are quite well positioned. One of the last ranking that is not written here is related to marketing. We are 3rd in Europe and 8th in the world for the Master of Science in Marketing for the QS rankings. So again, a good passport. Rankings to me are a good passport. When you study in a university highly ranked, your CV will be well considered, better than the universities that are maybe not ranked, and of course they will stand out compared to other candidates. Again, I'm sorry to mention this always, but we want to make sure that when you send a CV with Bocconi on it, it's well received, read, they take the time to read it, and they call you for an interview. Here is the full list of our Master of Science programs. Today, you will hear from one of our students who attends the Master in Management. That, for your information, Yatin is now comprised into the International Management Program. As said, we not only teach management, business administration, finance, for which we are very famous. Think that in London, we have more than 3,000 graduates working in the City of London, in Goldman Sachs, in HSBC, in many banks and financial institutions. We care about economics, so we have thorough economic and social sciences programs. This is the program that where more than 30% of the students end up doing a PhD in prestigious American universities. We study also how to manage international organizations, and we have a specific program in political science, which is the one in politics and policy analysis. Last but not least, the newest programs I was talking about earlier: data science, sustainability, artificial intelligence, in collaboration, 2 of them you see with Polytechnic of Milano, the university I was mentioning earlier. This would be a great experience for the students who attend the joint degree with Polytechnic of Milano, because it's a dual degree, so you attend 2 Italian universities in the same city, 1 semester in one part of the city, 1 semester in another side of the city. You grow your network of fellow students, professors, alumni, companies, and so on. What I didn't mention is that for all our programs, we not only provide opportunities to go abroad or to have exchange students in your class, but most importantly, career events that allow our students to meet the companies, the institutions, into the campus in Milano, but we organize these career events all over Europe, in Paris, in Frankfurt, in Brussels, and also in London. You fly for the day or for the weekend, maybe, and you can meet companies that are there only to meet Bocconi students. So specifically for all of our students. This is very important. Let's talk a bit about financing your studies. As said, Bocconi, is a private university, but we are working a lot in providing support to all the talented students, sometimes regardless of their financial situation. In general, 1 student out of 3 receives some sort of financial aid. Donors, alumni, companies contribute. This is an old number. I got the new number today by my boss, who was 40 million euros of funding to support our students. The good news is that when you fill out the application, you don't need to apply for merit scholarship, but they would be automatically assigned together with admission results by a committee composed by my boss, the dean of the graduate school, professors, the admission office, and even alumni and donors. I've been attending before the summertime a donor event where I really found how many alumni are very happy to support fellow students, maybe from their own country. We have a student from an alumnus from South Africa who set up a donation to get to help more students from Africa. And I hope in the future we'll have also alumni from India helping more Indian students to cover their path and become successful entrepreneurs. So for merit scholarship, you don't need to do anything, just work on your application that I will mention in a bit. You can still apply for need-based scholarships that are the ones that I mentioned earlier that are provided by the Italian government, the right to study, il diritto allo studio. We also have student loans for European citizens, in case some of you have a European passport. A few information about application, then again, I know Yatin went through all this and he can provide his own experience about applying to Bocconi University. We need a test that can be GMAT or GRE, that I know is quite popular in India, or you can sit our own Bocconi test online. We would evaluate you also on your GPA of your bachelor program until the time that you've been applying. So you don't need to be graduated from a bachelor to start applying, but we will evaluate the courses and exams you have been attending so far. And then, most importantly, your CV and your personal statement. I've been working many years for bachelor programs, recruitment, and I have to say that CV and personal statement were not as important as they are for master application. You are getting adults, you have been doing internship, you have a clearer idea of what you want to study and what you want to do in your life. Convince us. Try to understand our viewpoint. Try to let us know why you would be the ideal student who will become a successful entrepreneur. What is your drive? What are your passions? How hard are you ready to work to achieve your goal? Whatever goal you have, but it's important for us to see consistency. If you want to provide examples also of extracurricular activities that you performed that show how much you work hard to achieve achieve your goals and get results. This is our philosophy, I think, at Bocconi, that we all work hard because we want to achieve results. There are specific programs where you'll need specific requirements. Then maybe in the Q&A part, we can answer questions related to this in particular. Here you can see the selection rounds. Basically, you can apply from mid-September to May, and you can apply 2 times. So in case you're not admitted the first time, you can apply a second time. You will need another GRE. You will need to change the programs you decided to apply for. You will need to review your letter, maybe, but you have 2 chances to get admitted. You see that students who spent a semester abroad into Bocconi from a partner university also have their own application, specific application. One more information, if you want to try out, let's say, the Italian culture, Milano, and Bocconi, one of the most interesting activities are summer schools. I'm going to talk about the Bocconi one, but of course the suggestion is you are interested into a university, attend the summer school and check how is life on our campus, how is the culture, if you could fit with the environment, and so on. This is similar for open days that we organize for master programs in February next year, but also for activities like this where you start feeling the Italian way of moving their hands or my Italian accent. The summer school is a great opportunity also because it allows university students to attend one course for 3 weeks, sit an exam, and have credits that you can bring back and get recognized in your current university during your bachelor. So besides experiencing our life and culture, it's useful if you want to add a course, an exam, and credits to your bachelor degree. And again, in a few minutes, we will listen from one of the students who attended the summer school in July last month. Here are just some photos, but Shreya, I know she will post more. Basic, so I don't want to spoil her, and I will let her talk about this. You can see in general the university still with the aula magna, the classes, but also the extracurricular activities like touring the city of Milano and cooking classes where you could learn also as an extra side activity to cook pasta or tiramisu, for example. I'm sure I think I'm done. I don't know if I was too quick, Sharang. If I have a minute, I just
No, go ahead. Sure. Yep.
Yes. Okay, so I take out the slides. I just wanted to do a little thing, which is this one. I just wanted to show everybody the beauty of Italy. Can I do that?
Sure, absolutely. I'm excited to see the site
Can you
as well.
see?
Oh, yes, we can. That's
The
wonderful. Oh,
seaside.
wow.
So this is 2 hours from Milano, basically.
Oh,
I just
that's
wanted
wonderful.
to show you how is the summertime in Milano. If I can just mention one last thing, the academic year in Italy is from September to June, July. August is the holiday month. As you could see, we are all here at the beach, and we start again in a few days. Basically, we will start welcoming freshmen next week. That's all, I think. I will answer questions later, but I'm really happy to listen from my students.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Veronica. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. For folks that are asking questions in the Q&A tab, keep them coming. I'm trying to answer some questions that are, something about the programs, the list of programs. I have mentioned the list of Masters in Science programs in the chat box. I've also mentioned a link about funding in the chat box too. So if you've got questions about Masters, about funding, first have a look at that link, read a couple of things and then ask your questions. We have about 15 minutes before we get to the Q&A part. For now, I'm going to invite Yatin, who's going to take us through some of his experiences of studying at Bocconi through some pictures. So over to you, Yatin.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Yatin. Like mentioned before, I study MSc Management in Bocconi University in Italy. I'm in my final year. And now I'm going to start with the presentation. So hang on. I'll just set up my slides. All right. So here we are. 1 second. Can everyone hear me just fine?
Yep, we can hear you. We can't see your slides yet, Yatin.
Yeah.
All right, now we can. Now we can.
Great. Is it presenting?
Yes, it is presenting. Yeah.
Well, okay. All right, great. So let's get started. Okay. So for a little bit of background, I am a student from University of Delhi. These are the two colleges I attended. I transferred from one to another in the second year. The degree I pursued here was a bachelor's in business economics, where you study a bit of managerial stuff and economic stuff. And after that, I completed my university with a little bit of mathematical education, which kind of also helps in the footnotes, but let's get going. So during my university time, I decided to build my profile more internship at an NGO called Child Rights India, where it was a really good starting phase for people who did not have like great backgrounds in terms of technical or quantitative education, but it was more of a real world experience. And then I continued with them for 3 months. After that, I was interning for another tech company that we all know called Uber, which was another 4 months kit. And then I went to Mumbai in the second year of my university degree to intern at another company called DirectEye. And then more and more things happened so that I could build a bit of my profile in terms of professional sense. And this is some information that I would share because it comes in handy when you're thinking about how to build your application doc. So I wasn't a great student when it comes to typical education because I had it really difficult memorizing stuff and trying to understand concepts really easily in the start. At least in the school time, it was really difficult. So that gave me a big disadvantage when I was trying to apply to universities, especially in India, because you have to be more or less perfect in a lot of numbers. Otherwise, just the one problem can really break your case. It could be just, for example, getting a 4 in social science in 10th grade. That can really change things a lot. So then I decided to figure out different ways to solve my problem. So I decided to give the GMAT. And in the GMAT, I tried one attempt. It wasn't so great. I would say I wasn't happy with my score, but then I applied again and I gave the test again, and I was much more happier with my score. For those who might ask, it took me a preparation time of 4 months. I did not use any tutoring services, but I had a lot of online books at my disposal from the internet. So after deciding to give the GMAT, I decided to apply to universities in Europe, and Bocconi caught my eye because I have always known about Bocconi since I was maybe in 10th grade because I was reading about all the different universities abroad. And also I found that Bocconi had a very holistic way of applying to university. It's not just about quantitative stuff. And I felt like all the career building things I did in my undergraduate could count for something here. And I also performed on my GMAT. So I thought hey, I have a decent profile, maybe it's worth a shot to apply, because it shouldn't, one disadvantage should not just break or make your case. If you can work hard, you can cover up disadvantages with performing well in different things. So that's when I applied, and this is the actual screenshot of how you could receive the acceptance letter. And this is when I started my university at Bocconi. I was also one of the fortunate people that was able to apply and enroll into the right to study type of pattern into university. And then I got started about 6 months later. Because of COVID, we were kind of stuck in India, but then later on, I made my way into campus. So I'm going to start a bit about how things start from the second semester. So this is the Bocconi residence where I used to live. It's called Arcobolino. Besides this, Bocconi has about 6, 7 other residences. This one's kind of out of function right now, and maybe permanently. But the other facilities are very well in turn with the campus. You can reach within 15 minutes, and it has all the facilities you need. It's probably the most comfortable living you can get around campus. And this is where I spent the first few years of my university. Now, when it comes to internship season, I was a really new student, and in the second semester, my Italian wasn't really great. But still, here is some information about the kind of companies you can get and the kind of roles you can get when it comes to a purely English speaker. So there was an offer from there were some offers from UniCredit and Allianz, because these are more international companies that work in English and also in their own languages. But there's more technical and communication roles which you can take as a purely English speaker. In the end of the summer, I decided to intern for a very Italian company called Davide Campari, which is more like an alcohol conglomerate where they produce and distribute alcohol all over the world. And this is where I did my first internship in supply chain. And as I mentioned, it was completely doable in the English language. Of course, it really helps if you build on your Italian while you work. And it was for a period of 6 months, and then I went back to my studies. For the second year, we have to study something more specific. So I decided to take up project management and consulting. And apart from that, we are allowed to take a subject from anywhere we want in Bocconi University. So I decided to take up a subject called Management of Design, which was purely presentational. There were no exams. It was a complete creative workshop of 24 lessons where we got to do a project on NFTs. And at that point, it was pretty new. So it was interesting explaining to students what NFTs were. And we also got to be the buyer of a product, seller of a product for different groups. And just like these, there are like different unique types of evaluations that you can go through if you pick a subject you like. And it becomes the possibilities are endless, basically. That's how I can simplify it. And the another advantage of the elective I took was that I got to work with a lot of international people. In Bocconi, it's oftentimes pretty random how you get the groups, or more like which groups are open, you get to join them. So you cannot choose to be comfortable. You get to be in a very dynamic international environment situation right from the micro level. So these are the flags that came to my mind when it comes to what kind of nationalities I got to work with during my group projects. And I put this picture of the multiverse here because in the second year, you can choose completely in which direction you go. In my course, there's like 6 electives, 6 majors like sustainability, fashion, finance, and so on. And all of these have different types of professors, different types of ways of evaluating, different types of study materials. So you can really personalize your university as you want, university experience as you want. In my second year, I was again interning for an Italian company in finance called Casavo SPA. And this is one of the pictures that I have from our company retreat where we went to Florence for a few days just to meet the other people who were working across the different branches of Casavo in maybe 4 countries as we speak. And besides the experience of Bocconi, there's also a great experience of being in Milan. And these are some of the different kinds of brands that you get to collaborate or work on projects with on a short-term basis, or maybe something long-term when you be in Milan, because it's a very, very international city for business and fashion. And all these organizations come here, they organize events, competitions, and some of them are very selective, some of them are pretty entry level. So this is the kind of exposure that you can get in Milan, because all of these brands that you see on the screen, all of these try to interact with students on ground. It's not like a very formal process, and depending on what's your interest, you can find key international brands to work with in terms of short-term projects or maybe even freelancing. And it goes way beyond that when it comes to professional scope. Apart from that, it's a pretty nice to be in Bocconi. You get to do a lot of activities as a student. If you end up liking the university experience, you can also promote it, and you can also participate in working above and beyond. And you get to do stuff like campus tours. You get to do stuff like organizing different kinds of events online, offline, and all these things that happen with the Bocconi experience as well. So, for example, this summer I got to supervise the summer school for sustainability, and these are the few companies that we interacted with, where we saw their professionals in terms of finance or sustainability or supply chain interact with university students that came here to do summer school. And from my course, the two companies that I can clearly remember were Barilla and AC Milan. So Barilla is it's a very Italian food company, and AC Milan is one of the oldest football clubs formed in Italy, and it's pretty historic. And you can also see all the types of fun we had in the Instagram mentioned below, and also our next participant's going to share some more about it too. So what now? Now I'm almost about to finish my degree. I'm doing my research on working with the next generation, which has to do with the different kinds of psychological phenomena and changes that have happened. I'm working with my professor, who's an ex-alumni of IIM, also from Michigan Ross, and is currently a professor at Bocconi University. So I guess I'm working with a pretty well intelligible guy. I'm really happy with having such a nice support, and it's really easy to find a really distinguished and really expert professors here, because there's like huge dimensions and divisions, and research can be a little fun when you have a nice supervisor. So that's really important. And what next? I think I'm not sure as of yet what kind of job or what kind of country I'm looking for, because I'm still pretty open-minded on the things I want to do. But I'm kind of looking at something called the highly skilled qualified professional visa, which is really important and something you should look up as if you're non-EU. And when you're in Bocconi, in some countries, you get really strong advantages of graduating from Bocconi, because a lot of times you tick the box of this highly skilled qualified professional visa. So I think if you try to consider coming to Italy and coming to Bocconi, this is one of the aspects that you can really keep in mind, that can really help make your decision, because it creates a lot of difference, maybe all the difference when it comes to where you study and where you graduate from, what kind of degree you do, all of these things. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And for any questions beyond this seminar, and for anything maybe that comes to your mind later, I'm always accessible on these 3 platforms. My full name and my username are more or less the same. So yeah, I hope you had a very informative session. I will also stick along for questions, and we can move on. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. Thank you, Yatin, for this wonderful presentation. It was so insightful. Please hang on here for the next couple of minutes. We'll have Shreya to take us through her quick presentation worth about 5 to 6 minutes about her experience at the Bocconi Summer School. Folks, she got 100% scholarship to attend the Bocconi Summer School. There was a competition run across multiple geographies, and Shreya participated in that competition and actually won first prize. So firstly, congratulations to her, but more importantly, let us take you through some of her experiences at the Bocconi Summer School.
Hi. Thank you for that introduction, Sharang. I hope everyone is doing well. I'll just get started with it. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So a little bit about myself. I'm in the third year of Delhi University and I'm pursuing BCom honors right now, but I went to Bocconi University almost a month ago in June and I did international business strategy from Bocconi University, and here is my experience. So this is the day when I landed at Bocconi and I was completely overwhelmed because it was so much better than I expected. I stayed at Aparto, which is just 5 minutes walk from Bocconi University. It's a student accommodation, and this is one of the videos of the accommodation. Yeah. So moving on our first day, we got an orientation done by the student ambassadors. And we also had a campus tour. And after just looking at the campus, I was so excited. Bocconi campus is actually very student friendly and it's amazing. It's very beautiful, as you can see. The architecture is amazing. And apart from that, there are different activity centers in Bocconi University. For example, they have swimming pools, they have basketball stadiums, they have just different places. And moving on, I stayed in Apartho, and it was a student accommodation where most of the people from the summer school were staying. So if you are planning to go to summer school, I would definitely recommend you to stay at Apartho because, you know, when you stay in a dorm, you get to network with people and it's just a better experience for everyone. This was the view from Apartho. And this was the kitchen area. So yeah, just a second. Apart from the theoretical part at Bocconi University, we also went to different places for case studies. One of the businesses that we went to was a factory of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. And, you know, it's a different experience to read about business. And it's more real when you visit a business or a factory and get to know the insights of the workers and the people working in the factory. So we visited this place, which it was a 2-hour bus ride from Bocconi University. And we in fact tasted all the cheeses as well. And they were approximately 8 years old and some of them were 10 years old. And this is one of the pictures when there was an earthquake in the factory and they told us all about how they recovered from it and how they supply their cheeses to different cities and different countries and how they process their cheese as well. So it was overall a very good experience. Our second business visit was to a very famous brand called Maserati. And all the guys in our class were super excited to go here. So we studied about the history of Maserati and we learned about how it became the brand that it is today. We saw all the cars. We also saw all the cars getting assembled from scratch to, you know, the finished product. And we got to talk to a lot of people working in the factory. They gave us insights and they were working there for approximately 15 to 20 years. So they told us about the demand of Maserati, how they especially transport the vehicle from one country to another when there's a demand for customization. And I have one of the videos from inside the factory where they're assembling the car itself. So moving on, apart from the studying part, Bocconi University makes sure that you get to experience the whole Italian experience. You get the whole Italian experience. And as Veronica mentioned, we had a cooking class where we made pastas and they were amazing. They were delicious to say the least. And you can see in the video, it's one of my friends making the pasta. We made the pasta with the assistance of the chef and we got to taste it as well. And apart from this, we also had a bus tour of the city where we saw different historical places of Milan, which included Duomo and the shopping plazas. And it was a double-decker bus, which I sat on a double-decker bus for the first time, and you can see the excitement on my face. Yeah, so it was a very fun experience. So the first part of my presentation was all about my life in Bocconi University and how it was to be a student of the university. Now I'll tell you guys about how it is to live in Milan as a student. So this video is from Navigli. It's just like a 10 or a 15-minute walk from Bocconi University, and it's a very famous tourist spot. So if you guys ever wish to go to Bocconi University, you can come here. Apart from that, Milan also is known for fashion, but the food in Milan was simply amazing. I'm a big foodie, so I tried all kind of cuisines. I tried Italian, I tried Indian food, I tried Japanese food. And if you go to Milan, you don't have to worry about the food aspect. You'll get everything there. Yeah, this is also some of the pictures of the food that I had there. And one pro tip, you should not miss the gelatos in Milan. They're amazing. And as a student, Milan is very centrally located. So you can go to different cities and different countries in just 1 or 2 hours. When I was there for 3 weeks, I visited Cinque Terre, which was approximately 3 to 4 hours away. And I also went to Switzerland, and it's just 1 hour away from the bus. And you guys should definitely go to different places if you ever decide to go to Milan for Bocconi University. And this video is from Switzerland. Yeah. And just in case you're not able to travel outside Milan, there are a lot of places to see inside Milan, which include the Duomo, the shopping plaza, or the Brera Street. And I know that Milan is a very tourist spot, but it's also a very student-friendly city. So you should definitely go around and have a look. I hope you can see the videos. This was the Duomo, and this was the shopping plazas. Apart from my experience in Milan, I also came across some amazing people in my class. And, you make a lot of friends and you gain a lot of experience from people, especially because most of the students in Bocconi University in the summer school were not Italians. They were from different countries. So you get a very international experience and you get to know about every culture. Yeah, so my time in Milan and Bocconi University was very special. And as Sharang mentioned, it was the best 3 weeks of my life. I had lifelong experiences. I met amazing people, and I would give anything to go back to that. And this last picture is from my class from the summer school, and this was the last day. And we were like a close-knit family. And yeah, that was it. Thank you for having me. Over to you, Sharang.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shreya, for this wonderful presentation. It was so nice and so beautiful to see so many pictures of the city of Milan, of the country Italy. It was absolutely fantastic. Veronica also has a smile on her face, and so do I, because it's a dream for students to go study at a wonderful city like Milan, and especially at a reputed university like Bocconi. We're done with the presentations now. It's only time for Q&A. We have about 10 minutes, and there are a lot of questions here. There were close to about 75 odd questions that have come in. There are about 37 still open. So we'll take some of the ones, like some of the famous ones right now. Two questions have been all across all the Q&A, and I want to just try and remove those questions, but I'm going to ask you first, Veronica, about scholarships and funding. I know you've already mentioned this in your presentation, but I request you to kindly reiterate a little bit about scholarships, and then I'm going to also ask Yatin about, during the application time, where did he look at some of the scholarships and how easy was it to apply for scholarships as a student? But first to you, Veronica.
Thank you. Yes, sure. We have a specific scholarship for international students that are merit scholarships. So depending on the student's overall profile. I really appreciated what Yatin said before, because he took the effort to build up a good application with internship, with his wishes, with his goals, with preparing for the GMAT, which was not easy, and the transcripts and the extracurricular activities. So all these elements are also taken into consideration, not only for admission, but for full merit scholarship that cover 100% of tuition fees. Then we have a 50% merit scholarship related more to international, let's say, outlook. So the more international you look, you've been attending experiences abroad yourself, or you want to bring more your culture into our campus. Then we have 100% full merit scholarship for female students admitted in the Master in Finance to balance a bit the gender gap, let's say. But there are also scholarships, for example, for the Master in Cyber Risk Strategy, provided directly by companies like Microsoft, by Amazon, because they support students who they believe might be interesting to be hired in the future. Apart from this merit scholarship that you just need to work on your application, on Convince Us, you can apply, as probably Yatin mentioned, also to financial aid provided by the Italian government with the right to study. The difference is timing. Merit scholarship gets to you together with admission results. So you're still in India finishing your bachelor, but you know you have a full scholarship or a 50% scholarship to come to Bocconi and study for free. For the governmental financial aid scholarship, the timing is different. You apply during the summertime, but Yatin maybe correct me if I'm wrong, and you get it when you are already in Italy. So you have to cover your life for a few months before getting it. But to be honest, I know that the majority of students get it because there is not a limit. It's really by law. Am I correct, Yatin?
Yeah, so even if you don't get the scholarship benefits as soon as you arrive, you are well aware whether, like, you kind of get a good idea of where you fall in the brackets in terms of how much funding you are provided and whether you will be provided funding at all. So you can plan in advance. You will know, I think before you leave Italy, at least you can try to get your documents ready so that if in the case you apply for the need-based, your paperwork is done, because it's a significant amount of paperwork, and then accordingly you can plan your finances in a way that you are assured of how much your future expenditure can be, because you may not be confirmed as a scholarship holder, but you would know which scholarship you'd be getting before you arrive, or maybe during your arrival. Like in the paperwork process, the confirmation happens later, but with the documents, you kind of get an idea. You will realize it when the steps happen. It's a lot of steps, but it's pretty clear when you apply for the scholarship how it works.
It's a bit of Italian bureaucracy, let's say. If I can also add one more information, Milano is one of the richest and for this reason also more expensive cities in Italy, together with Rome. But luckily, because I also live there, it's much less than Paris or London, for example, because our lifestyle and our wages are adjusted to the lifestyle we have here.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Veronica. I think we've covered a lot of information about scholarships. So everyone that wanted to know about scholarships, we'll also share the recording of this session. I think there were a couple of questions about folks that might have come late and want to know what was covered earlier. We'll share the recording with you tomorrow on your registered mobile number via WhatsApp and on your registered email address as well. My next question is about careers, Veronica. I think there are a lot of students that are coming here with some of the career opportunities. I'm going to also bring this question to Yatin, about his experience, about what are the support services that Bocconi is offering students currently to use so that will help you to apply for jobs. So firstly, Veronica, for international students, what are some of the career opportunities? I know again that you've covered it, but just to reiterate some of the ones specifically maybe to Indian students and to African students, because there are a lot of students from India and Africa here.
Thank you, Sharang. I'm happy to delve a little bit deeper in this topic because I mentioned we have career fairs, but again, my point is that from day one of a Master of Science, our aim is getting you on the right path to your dream job. Imagine that for finance, for the Master of Science in Finance, we have investment banking weeks on 12th of September. So 10 days after the course start, you already can meet investment banks that come from all over Europe to meet students on campus. As said, the programs, the data science programs partner with Amazon, with Microsoft. By the way, the CEO of Microsoft Italy is a Bocconi alumnus. This helps, of course. So also through our alumni who work in banks in London, who work at the European Union in Brussels, in Luxembourg, in investment, for example, but even in fashion. You know that the CEO of Yves Saint Laurent, a French brand, fashion luxury brand, is a Bocconi graduate. She's a woman graduated in finance who started working at Goldman Sachs in London, then Prada. You should know this other fashion brand. And now she's CEO of not only Yves Saint Laurent, but Kering Group. So the whole luxury group. These are just two examples, but the opportunities to not only meet companies, but I would say also to build the skills needed to convince those companies that you are the right employee, I would say.
Great. Thanks for that, Veronica. Yatin, what are some of the career support services, some of the opportunities that you would have received as a student in your final year that you'd like to share for the 280 odd participants that are still here?
So I think one of the first things that came to mind is that I got we have in Bocconi some certain times of the year where we can get some career counseling, which is not just objective. It also has to do a lot with psychological aspects. Like we get asked questions, and I don't remember what the exact term of that session is called, but they have it in which it's more introspective than just, career counseling. There's also a thing called Bocconi and Jobs, which is country-based and industry-based, depending on
Sorry, I'll have to cut this question short and I'll come back to you, Yatin, if you can hear me. I think there is some bit of disturbance in his internet.
But if I can add
Please.
something about what Yatin was saying, there is also an online platform that allows a student to search.
I think I was lost for a second.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Sure, sorry. I was saying about the online platform that allows you to check the internship and job offers.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, yes. We can hear you. We can't see you. Right? Okay, now we can see you too.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the connection. Yeah. So I was saying there's Bocconi and Jobs, and in country-wise, there's like Germany and Switzerland. There's Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and all these different kinds of country-based recruitments in which, if you have a language advantage for some other country, or in general you're not so friendly with working in a new language, you can always apply to UK and Ireland and stuff like this. And then there's also things more into your interest, like there's Bocconi career fairs for marketing and television industries, like where we see companies like Disney, Discovery. We see Bocconi career fairs for finance companies, fintech. Then there's non-governmental organizations, oil and gas, and it's all divided like that. So all these things can be really resourceful because in these career fairs you can directly talk to recruiters, and you can try to have a more personal interaction with them instead of what would be like a form filling or something. It's more intimate and it's more direct, more honest, and you can, even if you are not ready to apply for a job, you can just go talk to them in the first semester, get a kind of an idea of what you might want to do. Does it fit your interest? And maybe come back again, maybe take those subjects that would help you get that job, because that's something that I had interacted with the recruiter and done. And all these things open up because you don't have to qualify to get access to these industry professionals. You just have to participate actively and know when things are happening.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks for that, Yatin. I'm going to come to, one question. But this question is actually more for Shreya and for Yatin rather than for Veronica, is about the comfort for Italian language. As an Indian student, or rather as an international student that is going to Italy, Shreya, you spend, like the best part of a month. Yatin, you've been there for a year plus. Is it possible for an international student coming to study at Bocconi University? What is their comfort level with Italian that they should know? Because once an international student hears about Bocconi, he or she might be feeling that this is purely Italian university, that all the lectures are in Italian. Is that the case, or is it all in English? Do you think students like you will be comfortable to live in a city like Milan by knowing basic of Italian? I'm going to ask Shreya first, and then if you can add on, Yatin.
Yeah, sure. So at the university, everything was in English, even from like the notes to the lectures. And in fact, the Italian students that were present at the university spoke in English to us. So in the university, it was pretty easy to converse in English. Italian wasn't needed. But I was there for just a month. And in the month, I realized that if you're going to stay there for a longer duration of time, it is, advisable to know a little bit Italian so that it's easier for you outside the university. But in the university, English is just fine.
Wonderful. Yati, your experience with Italian as a language and how necessary it is?
Yeah, I think I would say Italian is important to get all the opportunities in the city, because there's some people in the city that know great English, but not a lot of Italian. There's a lot of people in the city that know great Italian, not a lot of English. But if you know even a decent level of both of them, you can at least have access to what all the city has to offer. Because a lot of times it happens, people travel and then they're like, okay, we don't know what's happening here and we don't know where to go for this and that. So Italian really helps. And I find this an easy language to learn because how it's written and how it's spoken is very, very similar. And this is not going to happen in a lot of languages when it comes to Europe. So I would say this is a really easy language to learn. Plus, you can get like an Italian survival course when you enter in the welcome weeks for the first 2 years, first 2 weeks where you get all the basics. And then over the year, you actually have it's a very spread out system on how you learn Italian, very step by step. And then you get examined pretty conveniently. Even if you want to do your Italian exam at the end of the year, it's possible. But there's classes year round, and it's not like in a hurry. It's divided across 2 semesters, and then there's the welcome week, and then it ends up being how much you expose yourself. And then for all the opportunities, I would say Italian should, some Italian really helps too. More Italian means more opportunities, because you can survive in English, but you can really live if you know Italian as well.
Wonderful. So you heard it from the students itself, and we didn't ask someone from Bocconi. We actually asked the students the real need to learn Italian. So just as a summary, everything at Bocconi, your classes, etc., will be in English. People around Milan also understand English. If you know little Italian, that's obviously good for you to find directions. Order at a restaurant, maybe order at a bar if you want a couple of drinks as well. So it's always good to know some bit of Italian. That'll also, so if you're not considering Italy as a study destination, because Italy or Italian language rather is of prime focus, then I would recommend you to think again. Maybe you can learn basics of a language. It's also going to help you in the long run. So yes, you should surely apply to an Italian university, specifically Bocconi, if you have that thought. Talking about language, Veronica, quite a few questions here have come about the need for IELTS or TOEFL, which is the English language test requirement. Does a Master of Science program at Bocconi require an English language test?
This is a great question. So if a student has attended and completed a course and an exam of English language during their bachelor, at least level B2, they are exempt from providing an IELTS or a TOEFL. IELTS in any case should be at least 6, TOEFL 88. But if you have been sitting an English language exam during your bachelor degree, we are fine.
Right.
Besides what Yatin was saying, we help students with Italian as soon as they land on campus. And by the end of the program, they should sit an exam of Italian language. But this is again is made to make sure that Italian companies know that students have at least a basic knowledge of Italian.
Wonderful. Thank you. Since we're talking of tests, one more question has come, and I know you've specified this in your presentation, but is there any scope for GMAT or GRE to be waived off if you want to spend a little more time talking about how important these tests are? Because, after COVID, not many students are looking to take the GMAT or GRE. Could you spend some time talking about the importance of these tests to get into Bocconi?
Absolutely. So let's say that this type of tests are the only really objective part of the evaluation that allows us to also compare students that might be two business students from two different countries with same courses, similar CV. So at that point, this is the objective element allows us also to compare students coming from two very different backgrounds. Because of the COVID as well, from this year, we are allowing international candidates to sit our own Bocconi test, starting from 14th of September. So if you don't want to sit GMAT or GRE, you can just log starting from mid-September and sit our own Bocconi test. For GMAT, if I can provide some suggestions, the score, the preferred score, I don't know what Yatin got, I do not want to know, is around 600. I would say a bit more for finance and a bit more for merit scholarships. GRE, I think the equivalent can be 160 something. I'm not sure about the equivalence because the GMAT changed the scores.
That's right.
At least 600, you have good chances. 650, you have great chances.
Wonderful. So, higher the GMAT score, more chances of a merit scholarship. So, I would, start prepping for GMAT, maybe with tutors, maybe without tutors, like how Yatin didn't need to go to a tutor. But yes, I would certainly require, Bocconi certainly requires the GMAT exam. There's a question about the summer school, Veronica. A couple of questions rather about how to apply. What are some of the dates for the summer school? Not the exact dates, but approximately, does it happen only once a year? Is there scope for it to happen more than once a year?
For the summer school, I think that we will only open the application in February or March. But for sure, all the students that have been in touch with us throughout the previous months receive a notification via email as soon as our first and preferred candidates to come and attend the summer school. I think that even in the future, we will be able to provide scholarships like the one that Shreya got, because for us, it's important to allow all the interested students and the talented one to come and share their experience with us.
Sorry, yeah, super. All right. I think we've covered most of the questions. There's still one question that I know that a lot of Indian students have on their mind, and there was a question about the MBA degree. I think Sarah asked a question about the MBA degree. SDA Bocconi is also in Italy, also one of the top ranked MBA programs in the world. Could you take us through a little bit about Bocconi and SDA Bocconi? What is the connection, and how easy is it for students to apply to SDA Bocconi's MBA program?
Yes, basically, if you remember one of the first slides that I showed, SDA Bocconi School of Business is our business school that only provides, let's say, executive programs for people with at least 3 to 5 years of work experience. In the MBA in Europe is very different from US, so you really need to already have at least 3 years of work experience in order to apply for an MBA. They would require GMAT or GRE in any case. And if you look at the Bocconi website, you will find that it's not just the regular MBA. They have a very famous executive masters in fashion management, luxury management, but also, for example, as Shreya mentioned, programs for automotive. And the companies that Shreya and Yatin visited are, let's say, contacts for both Bocconi and SDA Bocconi Business School. So this is the type of companies that come to campus, that talk to students, that want our students, and even more at MBA level. I just give you an example because I like fashion. For the MBA in fashion and luxury, they have a field trip in New York where they were able to visit Saks department store in the evening, which was open just for our class of MBA students. So again, this is just an example of how companies also all over the world open the doors to us.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks for that. Very quick question. 2 last questions. 3 of them are on the screen. 2 of them are very similar. I'm going to ask you, Yatin, what is the approximate cost of living? So in a month, what are some of your mandatory expenses? How much money do students usually spend on living?
So usually rent goes around around the 600 to 800, depending on how close you want to live to campus. If you have a flatmate situation or a roommate situation, it can get a little more comfortable. The groceries usually, if you're not going out a lot, then somewhere around 150. If you go out often, then 300. It doesn't go more than that on your food and drinks. If you take a nice other stuff like transportation is pretty much subsidized for all students and in all modes. So for 22 euros, you get transportation for the whole month. As long as you're, I think 26 or 27, it's covered. And you get one card that works for all types, tram, metro, bus, whatever. And other services are pretty much very closely priced to how it would be in India, like gyms and fitness things, and flights and trains are really, really economical as well. Our food delivery is not, and otherwise I would say a ball figure of 850 or 900 should be enough to cover your rent and utilities, and then maybe add a little bit more for 100 euros for fun and stuff. So 1,000, you can expect somewhere around 1,000 in your starting months, and then you can learn how to save yourself.
Wonderful. Great.
1,000 per month.
Yeah. Thanks for the advice, Yatin. I think Approximately 1,000 euros is what we're looking at. Veronica, last question. I know we had planned this only for an hour and 10 minutes, but we're already 20 minutes. Two questions are there about, from Anusa and from Yashaswini about application tips. As someone that reviews applications for master's programs, could you share 2 or 3 tips about what students could do to ensure that they have better chances of getting into Bocconi?
Well, besides working on the test and making sure your GPA during your bachelor is fair enough, I would say focus on your CV and maybe, as Yatin did, do internship, enrich it also with extracurricular activities, volunteering and so on, or specific skills. We really look at the profile 360 degrees, and most importantly, the personal statement, the letter addressed to the program director of the master you are interested in. Show him or her that you have made, that you did your homeworks, you studied a little bit about Bocconi or about the specific program or about a specific course or topic that is taught in that program. Don't make sure that you write Bocconi correctly. I know it seems very easy things, but it's also a way to make sure that your application is considered 100%. Focus on your strengths and your desire to achieve your goals. We want to support you in that.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much now to everyone who's been here. We are still over 200 participants here. I have shared a couple of links in the chat box for people who might have come late, who have questions still about scholarships and about the programs. There are some messages in the chat box about the master's programs offered at Bocconi University, questions, a link to the funding and scholarship opportunities at Bocconi. And finally, for people who came late, the recording of this session, which has answers to all your questions, and some wonderful questions by Veronica, Yatin, and Shreya. So yes, thank you so much to each one of you who've been here. Very, very big thanks to you, Veronica. Very, very big thanks to you, Yatin and Shreya, for taking out time from your schedules to meet these students and to talk to them about Bocconi University. One final thought from you, Veronica, about the 200 odd people that are still here that might consider applying to Bocconi University in the near future.
Absolutely. I am available through SEED, but also through our local representative, Richa Agraval. We are happy if you want to come and visit us. We have campus visits, we have open days, so don't hesitate to come and learn more. We will be very happy to welcome you here in Italy. So I would say arrivederci, see you in Milano.
Yes, and finally, I've also just shared the Instagram handle for Meet. Yep. Meet_Bocconi. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to them on Instagram as well, not only just emails and phones. Thanks once again, Shreya. Thanks, Yatin. Thank you, Veronica. And most importantly, thank you to the 200 folks that are still here. Wish you the wonderful rest of the day or evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you and goodbye.